So I started wanding his back. Didn't say anything. Today we're going to say some things. Didn't say anything. And I came around the front and said, is there any difference? And he goes, it's gone. He says, I'll take a dozen. I said, this is the only one I have right now. I think it's the only one in Canada. But as soon as they come in, I'll let you know. He says, I'm serious. I'll take a dozen. I said, I'm serious too. We'll figure it out. We'll get you the product. Not to worry. Go downstairs to cook up some asparagus tips. And first person walks into the kitchen rubbing his eyes because the cats have got his allergies flared up. And I'm thinking, I don't know. Well, let's try. So I wand one eye, wand the other eye, and I said, is there any difference? And he goes, it's gone. Now this was the first two people I wanded. So my wanding belief is just starting to grow. Then I have a New Year's Eve party. Wonderful party. There's some wine at it. Hello. And you can't wand wine in a New Year's Eve party without this becoming the center of conversation for the night. You can't. I didn't intend on it being that, but they wouldn't stop asking, so I had to keep wanding, the pain and everything. And the next day, one of the guests was there that night, came back to help eat the food that was still left, and she brought her aunt with her who had numbness in the fingers of this hand. Had to stop teaching high-speed typing, couldn't feel the keys anymore. Started wanding her hand, and by the end of the night, she leaves, and before she left, I said, so her name is Lovey. Lovey, is there any difference in the numbness? She taps the top of the dining table, and she goes, I'd say if I was going to give it a number, it's down about 77%. I just about fell off my chair, because I didn't expect it was going to do anything. 30 years? That's a pretty deep-seated idea, 30 years. She came back she called me the next morning. She said, I just wanted to let you know I was working through the night. It's down about 88% now. She came back that night to register and buy product, get a wand. And we wandered one more time. And all that was left was a little tip on her finger of numbness. Her body reminded the cells in her hand that they came from source. And when that happened, there is no numbness in source. There's no pain in source. There's no inflexibility in source. And one thing that I hadn't done here yet, that I do in my in-home demo, is my version of what is zero-point field energy. So let's just backtrack to that for a minute. If you're to take a very powerful microscope and look at anything, look at your finger, look at the chair, look at Warren's shoes. Look at Warren's shoes. With a very powerful microscope, when you get down deep enough in each of those choices, you get to a place where they all look the same. Electrons, protons, neutrons. The building blocks of everything that is, right? Now when it shows up here, it looks very different. Like Warren's shoes look different than my finger. But if you get down deep enough, they're made out of the same material. Underneath that, subspace particles. And underneath that, zero-point field. Einstein first identified it in 1913. That it existed. They thought it was a giant vacuum. Now what do we know? It's a giant reservoir of all the energy that fuels the manifestation of everything. Like, gotta get your head around that. There's a race on the planet right now to try and fuel our energy needs through accessing zero point. It's called cold fusion. I happen to know for a fact that there's scientists in Australia that have developed warm fusion. A good friend of mine who lives in West Van is a nuclear physicist. They paid him to go confirm it, a large group out of Europe that's funding. They've been on it for over 10 years. They're in negotiations right now about large installations. We're on the verge of an energy explosion on this planet that's going to turn things upside down. They have developed the ability to tap zero point and take care of the power needs for cities and countries. Now, it's going to meet with a touch of resistance, is my guess. So I don't know how quickly this is going to roll out.
You think?
However, we got it. It's been predicted for a long time, but we got it. This is accessing zero point in the area of self-care. And what it does blows my mind. And so you folks are here for the first time. When I said you're toast, you're toast. Like you are. You're going to get exposed to something here in the next few minutes that's going to rock your ability to accept what your eyes are seeing. It is.